Kunze from Sanlam Private Wealth has been watching today's market movements, and he joins us now to break those down for us. Nick, as always, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Let's start with the local bourse. A really strong finish to the day. We saw the top 40 index coming through quite nicely. Industrials are showing off quite strongly today. What would you say were some of the other catalysts that informed today's market movements?
Yeah, evening, Rafuri. And our solid finish to the month, the last trading day of the month, obviously February tomorrow. Influenced by, we had some decent run-ups in the US earnings on last week, and a really strong finish on Wall Street on Friday afternoon, so we played a little bit of catch-up there as well. And then this morning as well, China's been shut for their Lunar New Year holiday, so I guess a little bit not so much activity happening there. But overall, it was solid and reasonably broad-based across most of the counters.
Right. What about the local unit, Nick? Quite volatile against the US dollar, albeit still under 16 Rand against the greenback. But your thoughts on the movements on the emerging market currency?
So, well, look, we'd actually like to see a little bit of a stronger Rand, given what you said in your intro with the oil price at $91. You know, the last thing emerging markets, and specifically South Africa, needs is a weakening Rand and a stronger oil price at $91, $92. It's not a good story. In the near term, though, I suspect a little bit of dollar weakness will come through. The dollar's been on a charge ever since the Federal Reserve came out with their sort of uber hawkish comments and the idea that interest rates in America will be rising probably 4, 5, maybe even 6 times this year has had the emerging markets on the back foot like South African Rand. But I expect it to settle a little bit, and maybe it'll strengthen in the near term anyway.
Something big that came out on the local companies front, Nick, was Old Mutual, that saga with Peter Moyo. It looks like it's come to an end given that court judgment dismissing the 250 million Rand that Peter Moyo was demanding from Old Mutual. But I wonder if this case, which has dragged on for about 2 years now, Nick, has it weighed on sentiment on the Old Mutual share price?
No, it definitely has. I mean, it's been nothing short of a soap opera with the toing and froing, and it's not what you want to see, firstly, as a listed company. So, you know, your shareholders do not want to see you having these fights in the public domain. And also, as for, I'm sure, for the employers as well, it's been extremely disruptive. I think the C-suite will be very glad to finally put this behind them and get back to work, because if you look at what the share price has done, it's lagged most of its peers. It's well off its highs, and quite frankly, given the run-up we've had in financial shares the last couple of months, you know, Old Mutual definitely has lagged. So yes, in summary, I think they're over the moon to finally put this behind them.
No, absolutely, and hopefully this will be the last of this battle that we see, Nick. Finally, a big thing happening for motorists. I mentioned the story earlier, the price of petrol increasing from Wednesday. Not great. Sally was asking if I had a bicycle that I don't use and that I probably have to buy one. And perhaps you could tell us if you have one that you're probably going to start using now with the price of petrol. But as you share that with us, just your thoughts on the inflation outlook. I mean, it's really just not going to be a good time for the South African consumer for a while.
Well, first of all, men in their 40s shouldn't be wearing lycra getting on bicycles, so no, I will not be getting on a bicycle anytime soon. But on a serious note, I mean, speaking on your intro, I heard you chatting as well, more pressure to the consumer, rising interest rates. You've had 2 back-to-back interest rate rises. There are more forecast, the weakening Rand and an oil price coming in, and inflation. We haven't even talked about inflation. There's so much with inflation coming as well. So, I mean, I'm afraid life is going to become more expensive for South Africans and for most people, oil at $91, $92 a barrel. I think, though, in the long term, at some point, we do have an OPEC meeting. We haven't mentioned that. We've got an OPEC meeting on Wednesday. They are scheduled to increase that 400,000 barrels a day coming back on stream. Maybe that just pushes oil back down a little bit. We can only hope, because, as I said, life is getting quite expensive for South Africans.
No, absolutely. Nick Kunze, as always, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. He joins us from Sanlam Private Wealth, giving us a wrap of the markets day.